This is Monday. It's June the 20th, 2022. Title of today's devotional is Heavenly Visitors and Hellish Foes. Our scripture reading today is Daniel chapter 10 and Daniel chapter 11. Now, without any introduction, I'm going to go ahead and dive into, if you would, the deep end of this study in Daniel chapter 10. You'll notice in verse 1, first of all, that there's been a transition of leadership. For now we have Cyrus, who is the king of Persia. He succeeded Darius, or Darius, some might say, who was a Mede, or the Medians. And now it is Cyrus who rules over not only the Persian, but the Babylonian Empire itself. Now, in this vision, which is the fourth of the visions that began to be recorded in Daniel chapter 7, Daniel was so overcome, so overwhelmed by what he had seen, that we read that he mourned for 3 full weeks. He ate no bread, he drank no wine. In fact, in verse 3, he did not even bathe, so overcome by the terribleness of the vision. Now, we're not told the cause of Daniel's sorrow. It's speculation on my part. But because this is about the time that Cyrus allowed the children of Israel to return back to Jerusalem and gave the commandment to rebuild the temple, the fact is that there were so few that went. Perhaps that was part of that which overwhelmed Daniel. Now, that brings us to what I'm describing as a heavenly vision. I believe as you look at verses 5 through 6, the central figure of this vision was none other than Jesus Christ. And here we have what I think is a theophany, where Christ appears in his pre-incarnate form as a certain man clothed in linen. Now, I'm going to invite you to look with me at verses 7 through 9, the effect of the vision upon Daniel. Now, you learn in verses 1 through 6, Daniel wasn't alone when this man appeared to him. Though the others did not see them, there was a great earthquake. The other men fled, leaving Daniel alone and in his solitude. Now, let's consider this heavenly vision, visitor, if you would. Verse 10 and 11. Daniel had fallen into a deep sleep and was awakened when a hand touched him. Well, he stood to his feet and he's trembling with fear. Daniel was addressed by an angel who says of him, Daniel, one that is greatly beloved. And he was told how God had dispatched this angel to Daniel on the very first day in which he prayed, but he had been hindered because he had to wage battle against the demon, one of Satan's servants. What an amazing story. For 3 weeks, for 21 days, Daniel had prayed and fasted, and yet it seemed that his prayers were not answered. Indeed, the fact was that his prayer had been answered, but he did not realize that there was a great spiritual battle being waged on his part by this angel against this demon. Now, consider with me verses 14 through 19, the angelic message, which is the purpose of the vision itself. Now, God sent an angel to give understanding to Daniel, we read in verse 14. Now, the vision left Daniel faint-hearted and speechless. And so for a second time in verse 16, a hand reaches out and touches Daniel to restore him. And yet again, the prophet was so physically exhausted and emotionally shaken by the sorrows and the sufferings that he had foreseen that he became weak again. And a third time, the angel reaches out and touches Daniel. Now let's take a moment and look at verse 13 and consider this battle with a hellish foe. Now the angel was delayed in his mission to answer Daniel's prayer because he battled against one that is described as the prince of the kingdom of Persia. Persia being the ancient name of Iran, and of course today even Iranians will refer to themselves as Persians. Understanding then, this prince of the kingdom of Persia is described as struggling and withstanding the angel. We know it's not a mere human. This is one that is a demon, and his interest is that of Satan regarding the kingdom of Persia. And so it is interesting that there are obviously a hierarchy among the fallen angels, even as there is among the heavenly host, God's angels. Now, let's consider in our closing thoughts here the question that was proposed by the angel who asked, "Knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee?" Do you know why I've been sent to you, Daniel? Do you know why the demon obstructed my mission? Well, rather than answer the question, the angel departed immediately and announced that he must return to wage battle against not only the prince of Persia, a demon, but the prince of Grecia, or Greek. And so we have here two powerful demons that are described here with an opposition against the heavenly angel. And in verse 21, we're told that Michael will return again and intervene. Wow, what a wonderful, inspiring thought it is. That there is a spiritual warfare that is taking place that you and I cannot see, but its presence is felt everywhere in the world. And though unseen by human eyes, then, there is this perpetual war that is waged in the spirit world between God's holy angels and the fallen angels. I close with the verse, Ephesians 6 and verse 12. "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." The next time you pray and you wonder why it seems God doesn't answer prayer, realize there is a spiritual battle that you do not see. But be assured of this: God hears and God answers the prayers of his people. God bless. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.